what life was really like in Egypt during Moses' time, before Moses stood before Pharaoh, before the Nile turned to blood, before the plagues shook an empire. Egypt ruled the world. Its cities glittered beneath the desert sun. Its temples towered over the landscape. Its armies protected vast territories. Its wealth seemed endless, and if you had lived during the time of Moses, you would have witnessed one of the most powerful civilizations in human history. But what was life actually like in Egypt during Moses' time? What did ordinary people do each day? What did they eat? What did they believe? How did Pharaoh live? And what was life like for the Hebrew slaves before the Exodus changed history forever? Because long before Egypt became known for plagues and judgment, it was a place of astonishing wealth, remarkable achievements, and extraordinary power. Imagine waking up before sunrise beside the Nile River nearly 3,500 years ago. The first thing you hear is movement. Birds circle above the water. Farmers begin preparing fields. Boats drift along the river carrying grain, stone, and supplies. The Nile was the lifeblood of Egypt. Without it, Egypt would have been nothing more than desert. Every year, the river flooded surrounding lands, leaving behind fertile soil that allowed crops to grow in abundance. While many ancient civilizations struggled to survive, Egypt thrived. The Nile provided food. The Nile provided transportation. The Nile provided wealth. Nearly every aspect of life depended on its waters. For ordinary Egyptians, daily life often began early. Farmers worked fields growing wheat, barley, onions, beans, and vegetables. Fishermen cast nets into the Nile. Craftsmen created pottery, furniture, jewelry, and tools. Merchants prepared goods for local markets. Life was busy, structured, predictable. Most people lived in mud brick homes. These houses were simple compared to the magnificent monuments Egypt is famous for today. Rooms stayed relatively cool despite the heat. Families often shared small living spaces. Children helped with chores from an early age. Life was not luxurious for most Egyptians, but compared to many parts of the ancient world, Egypt offered stability. And stability attracts prosperity. As the day continued, markets became crowded with activity. Imagine walking through one of Egypt's bustling cities. Vendors call out to customers. Fresh bread fills the air with its smell. Fish from the Nile are displayed for sale. Colorful fabrics hang from wooden stalls. Jewelry crafted from gold and precious stones catches the sunlight. People barter constantly. Farmers trade crops. Merchants sell imported goods. Travelers bring stories from distant lands. Egypt was connected to major trade networks throughout the ancient world. Goods arrived from Africa, the Near East, and beyond. Ivory, incense, copper, timber, gold, luxury flowed into the kingdom. And nowhere was wealth more visible than inside the royal court. At the top of Egyptian society stood Pharaoh. To his people, Pharaoh was not merely a king. He was considered a living god, the link between heaven and earth, the protector of order, the ruler of one of the richest civilizations on earth. Pharaoh lived surrounded by luxury few people could imagine. Magnificent palaces, servants, guards, lavish gardens, decorated halls filled with artwork and precious materials. Every aspect of royal life emphasized power. Visitors entering the palace would immediately understand who controlled Egypt. Yet Egypt was not built only on wealth. It was built on belief. Religion touched every part of life. Temples dominated cities. Priests held significant influence. The Egyptians worshipped many gods: Ra, the sun god; Osiris, ruler of the afterlife; Isis, goddess of magic and motherhood; Horus, associated with kingship; and many others. People believed these gods controlled nature, life, death, and destiny itself. Religious ceremonies occurred regularly. Offerings were presented. Festivals filled cities with celebration. Temples employed thousands of workers and accumulated enormous wealth. Religion and government worked together to maintain stability across the kingdom. But beneath Egypt's prosperity existed another reality, one often hidden behind the empire's greatness: the Hebrews. According to the biblical account, the descendants of Jacob had originally arrived in Egypt generations earlier during the time of Joseph. At first, they prospered. But over time, circumstances changed. A new Pharaoh arose, one who no longer remembered Joseph, and fear began shaping government policy. The Hebrews were multiplying, growing stronger, becoming more numerous. Egyptian leaders worried about what might happen if these people became too powerful, so they responded with control. According to Exodus, the Hebrews were forced into hard labor. Imagine waking before sunrise, not as a free citizen, but as a laborer under oppression. Long hours, heavy burdens, constant supervision, construction projects, agricultural work, difficult conditions. While Pharaoh's court enjoyed luxury, many Hebrew families experienced hardship. The contrast between these two worlds could not have been greater. One group lived at the center of power. The other struggled beneath it. And it was during this period that one of history's most famous figures was born: Moses. The biblical story describes a dangerous moment. Pharaoh feared the growing Hebrew population so much that harsh measures were implemented against newborn Hebrew boys. Into this environment of fear and uncertainty, Moses entered the world. According to the Bible, his mother hid him as long as possible, then placed him in a basket among the reeds of the Nile. What happened next changed history. The child was discovered by Pharaoh's daughter, raised within the royal household, educated among Egypt's elite. Moses would eventually understand both worlds, the world of Pharaoh and the world of the oppressed Hebrews. That unique position would later make him one of the most important leaders in biblical history. But at this moment, Egypt remained strong. Its monuments stood proudly. Its economy flourished. Its military inspired fear. Its rulers appeared secure. Nobody walking through Egypt's great cities would have predicted what was coming. Imagine visiting Egypt shortly before the plagues. The Nile still flows peacefully. Markets remain crowded. Temples continue their ceremonies. Priests perform rituals. Officials manage government affairs. Life appears normal, successful, stable, untouchable. But history often changes when civilizations feel strongest. That pattern appears again and again throughout human history. Power creates confidence. Confidence becomes pride, and pride can blind societies to danger. According to the biblical account, the turning point arrived when Moses returned to Egypt. No longer a child raised in Pharaoh's court. No longer a hidden survivor. Now he carried a message, a challenge, a demand. Let my people go. Those words would eventually trigger one of the most dramatic confrontations recorded in ancient history. Yet what makes the story fascinating is not simply the plagues that followed. It is the world they interrupted. A world of wealth, a world of order, a world of incredible achievements, a world that believed it controlled its own destiny. For generations, Egypt had seemed unstoppable. Its rulers commanded armies. Its monuments defied time. Its influence reached across the ancient world. But history teaches a powerful lesson. No civilization remains dominant forever. Even the greatest empires face moments of change. Today, archaeologists continue uncovering evidence of ancient Egyptian life. Temples, tombs, homes, tools, documents, statues, Each discovery reveals new details about the people who lived along the Nile during one of history's most remarkable eras. We may never know every detail about Moses' Egypt. Scholars continue debating timelines and specific historical connections, but the broader picture remains extraordinary. A civilization of immense wealth, advanced administration, complex religion, powerful rulers, thriving cities, and deep social divisions. The story of Moses did not begin in wilderness. It began here, in the heart of one of the greatest civilizations the world had ever seen. That may be why the story continues to capture attention thousands of years later. Because Egypt, during Moses' time, was more than pyramids and monuments. It was a living society, filled with hopes, ambitions, families, workers, priests, soldiers, merchants, slaves, and rulers. Some lived in luxury, others lived under oppression. Most simply lived ordinary lives without realizing they stood on the edge of history. Then everything changed. The plagues would come, the Exodus would follow, and Egypt would become forever linked to one of the Bible's greatest stories. But before those events unfolded, Egypt was exactly what every great civilization believes itself to be: rich, powerful, secure, and permanent. History would prove otherwise. If you enjoyed this forgotten biblical history documentary, subscribe for more ancient mysteries, hidden civilizations, biblical stories, and lost worlds that shaped human history. And tell me in the comments, if you could spend one day in ancient Egypt during Moses' time, what would you want to see first?